never starts on time now. My intro video. Man, I had this great intro planned. I was gonna play the intro video. This is 2 weeks in a row. It hadn't started. I'm gonna have to reload it. I had this great intro planned. I was gonna do this whole Mr. Rogers thing with Reagan Renee Royal Pythons, where like I like stroll in as the video's finishing and do like the slow turn. We'll shout out. They didn't pay for it. It's just a good t-shirt. And then I was gonna do the coat. Like I say, like the reverse Mr. Rogers, you know? Let me see if I can't get this intro to play while I finish getting dressed here. All right, now I'm feeling like myself. We got the intro. We had a little, a little blip on the. I didn't stage that. I was going to stage the Mr. Rogers thing, but I didn't stage the video failing. So I got to figure out what's going on with that. That's twice in 2 weeks now. It's 8 p.m. on the East Coast. It's time for Proper Royals Live. Thank you for being here tonight. Tonight on the show, while I still have your attention, we got Troy from Balls and Strikes. And they're from South Carolina. I got to find out exactly where. I can't recall. Escapes my mind exactly where that is. But we can find that answer out real quick. Balls and Strikes. Troy's been like this nebulous figure for me for a little while. I'm good friends with. They've been real good to me. Stephen and Courtney at Leviathan Snakes. I think a lot of you all know them, especially in the audience. If you don't, go check them out. They're great people to know. But Stephen and or Courtney together have been on my show maybe 4 or 5 times now over the past 5 years, or 5 years, I wish 2 years. And they always bring up Balls and Strikes and Troy, and I know they work closely together, and I think they're customers of each other, but I think there's a mentorship, a friendship there. So I've always been aware of Troy, and I wasn't sure if like I should ask him to be on the show or pursue him or whatever. And when booking time comes, you just go, I'm just going to throw it out there. So anyhow, we got Troy on the show tonight. We're going to dive in and learn about his collection, what he's got going on. 7+ years, I think, in the industry, if I recall correctly. So we got some depth to dig into there. And there was a few business things that I caught that were pretty interesting to me as well. We'll dive into. I got some announcements. It has been a busy week, both with Proper Royals, but also just in my life in general. I know Kike, that's Bosa Balls, Aaron-Kike on the handle. But look, man, Kike is an awesome dude in our industry, and he's always giving me support, and he supports a ton of other people. And I've only met him a handful of times, but I am pursuing a real estate deal down towards Homestead. There's South Miami and then North Homestead, and in that area is an area called Cutler Ridge. And I needed some expert advice really quick. And I just said, well, I know Kike's from the area. Maybe he knows a realtor. And man, puts me in touch with a realtor. I got the information I needed within a couple hours, and I'm better equipped to go negotiate this deal. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but Kike, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Couldn't be more appreciative. On a serious note, something that touched our lives this week that I don't really know what to say about it other than just look out for each other, and you never know what somebody's going through. A boy at my son's school, 11-year-old, he took his own life this week, and he was in my son's grade and my son's class in school, not in the same classroom, but really hit me as a father and as a human being. And that's been a big part of my week. And I know that has nothing to do with reptiles or anything, but I think that sometimes we get like the internet can become a vicious place, and I've always tried to keep that out of my show. But I think it's important that we try and make everything better that you can. I guess you don't need a lecture from me, but it just felt really struck me when I heard that. So blessings to his family, and I know they're searching for answers right now that are unanswerable. So my heart and prayers go out to them. I didn't announce it last week. I got caught up and I don't know what, but I got my first clutch of the season 7-8 days ago. So prior to last show, but I didn't announce it. I got, like I say, I got lost in everything. That was the blackhead het genetic stripe to blackhead het genetic stripe. Who knows? Maybe that super blackhead is in there. We will see. Another 3 ovulations this week. How fun is that? So we got, man, I had my spreadsheet pulled up and everything. I'm all out of sorts here. Let me see. So the ovulations this week are for a clutch for super inchy clowns we could get. I'll just say what the best are in case y'all are interested. I'll be making a lot of these available. Super inchy clowns. I've got a clutch that will be all hypo, and there'll be a combination of banana pastel, hypo, and 100% het pied across the path on there. So if you're working on a hypo pied project, let me know. And then, yeah, I said super inchy clown. I think I did. Yeah, super inchy clown, the super blackhead genetic stripe, and then a pied or banana pied clutch. So good show money. We're going to talk about diversifying genes and price points on this episode as well with Troy from Balls and Strikes here tonight. Who's out there in the audience tonight? We got Ball Python Project. I think that's Matt. I think. Thanks for being here. Jason, Johnny, Morphmaster J. I don't know you. I don't think. Thanks for being here. Scales and Tails. Thanks for coming back. Oh, Marshall, what's going on? I don't say everybody. Like, I don't know. I should. You guys can read who's here. I don't know if I've seen Joel before. Joel, welcome to the show. If you haven't been here. Byron, what's going on? Sweet Serpents, Tampa. Infinite possible pythons. I think I met you on Warfel show. Maybe I don't know if you've been to the show before. Casey, what's going on? Thank you for being here. Casey is a Patreon subscriber. Jake, you're gonna get another shout out from Chris tonight, man. Like, is he on? I don't know if he's on tonight. Doesn't matter. We're not talking about him, but we got a Proper Royals got a secondhand shout out from the fat man himself. All good natured, all cool. I hope y'all are doing well. Thanks for hanging out. If I didn't get to you, please know that I value you being here. But like, honestly, on some of these podcasts, what's worse than just like sitting there reading names that are already there? So I appreciate y'all very, very much. I saved it to announce it. Maybe I'll post it as my Instagram tomorrow. I get a message from Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic says, and I'm sure it's like his handler or somebody, but it had the blue check mark next to him. Says, Joe Exotic can come on your podcast. He didn't say my name or Proper Royals, just your podcast, just a canned, message that he sends out. Joe Exotic can come on your podcast for a donation of $400 for a 15-minute phone call. I'm guessing that's the prison phone call. No, thank you, Joe. I wish you well, but no, thank you. I will be starting to make some breeder males available, ones that I've finished up with and that I've got their replacements already in the rack from last year. Keep an eye out for those. Check out my Patreon if you're interested. Next week, upcoming shows, we got Adam Wickens next week. How about that, huh? Wickens Wicked Reptiles out of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. After that will be Robbie Jensen from Argen Reptiles, another South Carolina guy. And then Kai Lee from, I think he's in New Jersey. I know he's in New Jersey. I think he's in Cherry Hill with Charlie as well. I don't know who's going to be on the 23rd. I might fly solo that night. We'll see. And then on the 30th is Gray Family Reptiles. They will be on. I got a set of the Govies, like they're like sensor pushes, but they're a different brand. If you have any experience with Govie, let me know. You like, you dislike. So far, I like it. I can't quite figure out how to make it. It gives me alerts, but I can't figure out how to make it give me like a loud noise. Like I want it to wake me up at night if the temperatures aren't right. So if anybody knows how to do that on the alerts, let me know. Quick shout out to Terry and Keisha at Keys Constrictors. Man, they're putting in the work. Talk about doing the work. I talk about that a lot on my show. Just put in the work, show up, do good things. And I swung by his channel today, or their channel, and they got a new episode. I guess it's once a month. And how cool is this? And you got to go check it out. But it's a showcasing 17-year and under breeders, the newcomers, the up and comers, man. I thought it was a great twist on like the 15 minutes of lame or Gershon's, I know he's got the under 1,000, but I think he's got like a new person showcase. So this is like a kids breeder showcase. Like, how cool is that? Get them on YouTube, give them the exposure and the excitement of being a part of the industry. Good on you, man. That's awesome. Go check out Keys Constrictors. That's Terry and Keisha. Last announcement before we get to the show. That's Troy from Balls and Strikes coming on. I got a really incredible phone call today, and I can't say what it is because if it is a business deal discussion, I guess. But if it goes, it'll go fairly quickly. So it'd be pretty exciting if it happens. I'll announce it soon enough if it does happen. But it was one of those moments where, like, just to be included in the conversation was just so validating. And I talk a lot about, like, showing up, doing the work, staying true to my brand, ride out the ups and downs, don't get caught in the drama. And it's hard sometimes, man. Sometimes you want to take the easy way or cheat or do something underhanded just to get some clicks, or you get mad and it's not in your nature to hold it in, but you got to protect your brand. That call that I got today was like, hey, Adam, you've been doing everything right. So I don't know. Maybe nothing will come of it. Maybe it'll be just in a momentous occasion in my brand. I'll tell you all more about it. And I don't know. Maybe if it falls through, I'll share some vague details. I can't. It's a private information, but hopefully it goes through, and hopefully I'm making a big announcement in a couple weeks, which will be really, really cool. So stick around, but I'm saying all that not to brag. I'm saying it all to be grateful and to thank you all. The audience is what keeps me going on that stuff. I wouldn't have done it without your initial validation of, hey, people will watch this show and people want to be a part of it with the guests. So it really is synergistic, goes both ways, back and forth. So like I said, Balls and Strikes, I've never met Troy up until tonight. We met in the green room, but we've conversed some and we had some cool overlaps. And I'm not going to give too much of that because it'll be fun to talk through it. We've only ever chatted on like Instagram text kind of deal. And we had like one email, I think, back and forth. But anyway, so let's just get to the show. Let's bring Troy on. For the first time ever, please welcome to the Proper Royals stage. This is Troy Woodruff from Balls and Strikes. What's going on, Troy? How are you?
What's going on?
A little bit of everything. I'm excited tonight because life feels like generally good. I hope the same for you, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was just on a week-long cruise in the Caribbean. So, I mean, things don't get much better than that.
No, your life's better than mine, man. Like mine, I thought I was doing pretty good. That one. Yeah. Where'd you go?
So first place, the main place that we took this cruise for was to head to Puerto Rico. We visit our real good friend Kenny down there. He's a ball python breeder as well, Royal Genetic Reptiles. He's currently working quite a bit with Miguel and the whole Mexico scene.
Yeah,
just a great guy.
Interrupt you, Kent. What's the import export? I mean, I know that it's not technically importing exporting if Puerto Rico is part of our country, but like Hawaii, right. you can't take animals or plant life in or out of Hawaii. So what is that scene similar in Puerto Rico, or what's the scene there?
Actually, so Puerto Rico, the only legal snake you can own there are ball pythons. I don't even think you can own boas down there, but ball pythons are it. Shipping back and forth, I've done that with Kenny a couple of times. It's real easy. Delta cargo.
Yeah,
like it's so much easier than using the FedEx when you're dealing with Puerto Rico. But yeah, it's very easy for him to ship things, especially if you have access to a major airport.
Right.
So, which I actually don't. It's actually about a 4-hour drive to Atlanta to a direct flight. But, I don't really ever mind driving to Atlanta because I always get to stop along the way to or from to go visit my buddy Bob, Bob Boo. So, which can be very expensive. But
I was
but
gonna
anyway,
say, man, hanging with some of those guys does add up pretty quick.
Oh man, you're not kidding. You're not kidding. But yeah, so Puerto Rico, we went to Grand Turk, Turks and Caicos, and then Amber Cove, Dominican Republic, and then Princess Cays. We didn't even get off the ship in Princess Cays. Since we live so close to the beach, just going to do a beach day doesn't really appeal to us. We like doing other things. Like last year when we went on our cruise, we went to Mexico. We did all the Mayan ruin tours and stuff like that. We didn't.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean, we love the beach. Don't get me wrong. We love going to the beach, but since we live so close by, a beach day for us just isn't that appealing.
That's me as well. Like I'd go to the beach every day if I wanted to. So, hey, speaking of where, and I apologize, I lost track of it. Where in South Carolina are you?
So I'm in a little teeny tiny town called Lugoff. It's the closest other town next to us is Camden, South Carolina. But most people know where Columbia, South Carolina is. So if you're in Columbia, South Carolina, you get on I-20 heading towards Myrtle Beach. We're a half an hour down on the left.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm familiar with, I drove 95 to 26 all the way up to Asheville for better part of 10 years, back and forth from Jacksonville to Asheville. So
right.
I'm very familiar with that stretch of highway there.
I
know right where you're at. So go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm almost, I think I'm 60 exits exactly east of where Leviathan is, and they're in Aiken, South Carolina, which is right near like Augusta, Georgia.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So. Yeah. There's a good scene going there. Yeah. Leviathan's in that area. You got Flawless is in there. Arjen, he'll be on the show in a couple of weeks, is up in that area. And I'm sure countless others that I don't or have forgotten that are in that area. So, I'd like to do a upstate tour. It'd be fun to, do a few days in that area and then get back into my old stomping grounds in North Carolina to go visit and and vacation there. But that'd be cool to do on the way in,
Yeah, I mean, there's some really there's some breeders on the coming up right now in South Carolina. Supreme Morphs.
Yeah.
That guy's collection is absolute fire. CCL down there in Charleston. My good friends Jay and Lizzie from JLP Morphs, they're the ones that allow me to be able to go on the cruises. They come over, they live in Camden, which is this town right next to me. So they come in and care for the collection while I'm on vacation. So huge shout out to them.
Yeah, that's a vital key component to find. I agree. I have a good buddy in town. He's actually Tradesman Exotics, Tito, and he's the ASF breeder that I get my rodents from when I need a live rodent. But yeah, when he goes out of town, I look after his collection and his rodents, which is real challenging for me with my allergies. Being around rodents is short-lived for me.
Do they allow ASFs down there in Florida?
Yes, they do. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm not outing anybody. We're legal here on that.
Yeah, they're legal here as well. But I do have some friends. One friend in particular. She's allergic really bad to the rats too, but the ASFs don't seem to bother her at all. So another thing too is some people mistake. Now, I'm not saying you're mistaking this at all, by the way. But some people will mistake an allergy to pine, since that's the main bedding but almost everybody uses for their rats, and have allergies to pine, which can set that off. But if you can get it, there's other stuff out there. Instead of the pine shavings, get the poplar shavings. Oh my God, the smell is so much better. So much better in a rodent room, but not everybody carries it, and it's about the same price. So
I don't deal in any live rodents in my home, so I'm immune to any of the bedding problems. But I will say, you have a point. It could very well be the bedding that I'm allergic to. I really don't know. I have the same allergy to cat dander, and actually a lot of dogs get me going as well.
Yeah,
so.
then it probably really is the rats for you.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Because if you're allergic to cat dander, that's very, very likely then it is just the rats for you.
So for people that don't know you, give us a quick introduction. We don't need like the, when I was 4, I used to chase garter snake stories, but what do you got going on?
No,
Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, well, I don't have that story anyway.
Okay.
My story is very fast, so I'll give you the brief synopsis of Balls and Strikes Pythons. So about 8 years ago, my ex-wife, I actually was picking my son up at my ex-wife's place. I walked in, and I see this. I don't know. It's about a 12 by 12 inch glass aquarium with like rocks and sand in the bottom of it and a ball python in it.
Oh, wow.
This is in the middle of winter in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yep.
And this glass terrarium, no heat anywhere on this thing, and it's sitting next to a drafty window in her house.
Oh.
And so she is begging me to take this snake. I didn't want the snake. I didn't never owned a snake. I didn't know anything about snakes. So I didn't really want it, but I'm looking at this snake and she looked like she's about half dead anyway. I was like, well, I mean, I can't just leave this animal to die.
Right.
And I think she knows that too. She knows I have a soft spot for animal. I love almost all animals. So I went ahead and took that snake home, that first ball python 8 years ago. After about 2 months of really getting to know her and just holding her and then doing all kinds of research and figuring out how the whole thing that they had for her was so wrong. It was a miracle she survived.
Yeah, I was to say that setup you described. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah. So during all that research, of course, I'm probably like 90% of everybody in this hobby I ran across, of all people, Brian Barczyk. Yeah, I ran across his channel, fell in love with his channel. He used to show, not quite as much anymore, but he used to show all kinds of ball pythons on the channel.
Right.
And then, so just seeing some of the morphs on there, I was just mind blown, like, wow. And then the one channel I came across soon after that was Mutation Creation. And Billy was showing off freeways, and he showed off this Orange Dream freeway, and I was just like, oh my god, I need to get one of those. Mm-hmm. So Balls and Golans, I do still have her. She is still in my collection, doing quite well. She's gravid right now, as a matter of fact.
Congratulations. That's cool. Yeah. Is she a normal, I presume, from a pet store?
Just a normal. Yeah, she's just a normal. So no mind-blowing clutches from her or anything, but if she's gonna stick around, she's gonna have to pay for her food.
That's right. She's got to pay rent. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, she's got to pay the rent. So
now, just curiosity, what did you elect to breed to a normal?
So this year I actually am pairing my bonfire to her. So which is banana, cinnamon, inchy, calico. So I'll get a plethora of different animals there. No normals, since cinnamon and inchy are allelic, so everything will at least be cinnamon or inchy, with a few mix of a little bit of other things. So I do have a super banana combo I'm growing up that'll eventually go to her. So bananas, that's getting into a whole nother subject. Bananas well. I mean, I hate to walk into a show without at least 4 or 5 bananas to put on the table.
Yeah. So we'll jump on that in a minute. Yeah. So you'd gotten this first one and raced it up. That was 8 years ago. How did you fast forward till now? Where was that switch that flipped for you? Where you're like, I need more than one, and I probably need more than 15.
All right. So, man, how do I get to that? So basically, in a nutshell, my son and I had discovered Tinley Park I want to say maybe Billy was talking about, or somebody on Billy's channel was talking about Tinley Park, or could have been Brian. I'm not sure. On somebody's YouTube channel, they were talking about Tinley Park. So I looked into it. I was like, wow, I got to go to that. So I went to Tinley Park, and man, it was like a big slap in the face, because man, I walked around and saw all this amazing stuff I just could not afford. I couldn't afford I'm just like, wow, I can't afford hardly any of this. Everything that just blew my mind was so beyond my reach that that it was a little kind of, discouraging, to be honest with you. And then so my son and I are walking around. He was like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old at the time, I guess. And yeah, probably 8 years old. So, and we walked up to Garrick DeMeyer.
Yeah.
And that man stood there and talked to me for, without exaggeration, about 2 hours. Like, he's still, anybody that came up to the table, he did his thing. He's like, oh, hold on, don't leave.
Yeah.
He did his thing. He's so, selling snakes, chatting with people. And he always came right back over to us, answered all the questions that we had. My son got a picture with him. And so he was really like the first guy one-on-one to really take the time to talk to us. So this is my youngest son, and at the time I was, I'm paying child support on 3 other sons. So man, I was, I didn't really have a lot of money to spend back then. So,
yeah.
So I talked to him a little bit, and things kind of progressed from there. I bought a few, lower end animals. I mean, now when I say lower end, I mean even back then, pieds were still $700-800. And then if it was high white, which is crazy back then, if it was high white, everything was probably $1,000.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how
so
those
now,
things change,
totally
right?
flipped. Yeah, the higher white it was back then, the more expensive it was.
Yeah.
So I was able to get a couple, that were lower to mid, which I kind of liked anyway. And so I bought a couple of those, and then I bought like my first clown ball python from Matt Lee at ML Exotics up there at Tinley. And that's kind of how it all started. And then, so I built my collection up to about 30, 35 snakes. And then I quickly realized I'd made a mistake, which a lot of breeders do, which was, man, I had 35 snakes, but I had like 22 males.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait a minute, I was just buying all the eye candy I could afford, not necessarily what I should have been buying. And so not long after that, there was a Repticon Nashville that I ended up going to, and ended up having a conversation with Bob Vu, and kind of about breeding and building a collection. And he really kind of opened my eyes on the way I should really more focus on building my collection. And so I ended up actually buying an animal from him, and I also bought another snake from Dave Levinson at that show.
What was Bob's like magic component that really caught you? I'm sure it was a long conversation, but it
really was. Basically, in a nutshell, he was trying to guide me towards, it's fine that you're getting all these codoms, but focus more on whatever you can afford in the recessives.
Oh yeah.
Go to recessives, and kind of teaching me the value of the females as well, especially recessive females.
Yeah.
They don't even het recessive.
Yeah.
Like, the females, the older they get, the more they're worth. But the males aren't really ever going to be too much more worth than what they are as a hatchling.
Yeah.
Some can be, especially, if you have a redhead clown right now, that might actually be worth more than what you paid for it. But yeah,
and there's that kind of sweet spot if you get it at like if it's like ready to breed at the start of breeding season, you can sometimes you can snag a little more for it. I had a little luck on that earlier this year, timing some sales that way.
Yeah. So it was just one of those. I went home, and I sold off almost my entire collection.
Oh wow, really? Okay, yeah. You just
started over,
turned it totally upside down, huh?
I really did. I sold off a bunch of snakes to a couple of breeders. One that's no longer in the business. One that just kind of he's got a YouTube channel as well. He's had it for years. And early on, he was kind of one of my best friends in the business in Southern Indiana. His name's Bill from BC Pythons, but he's got so many other hobbies. Like, to him, this is a hobby. This is fun.
Yeah.
He doesn't treat it like a business. He doesn't want to be a business. He loves the snakes. He just does it for fun. He doesn't pour a ton of money into it.
That
That
makes it
kind of
so
guy.
much easier, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I sold a few of my better snakes actually to my buddy Rob at KY Constrictors.
Oh yeah,
Good
that's a
friend.
good dude too, man. He's a good
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, he's one of my really good friends. We've went back and forth, and we've traded animals many times over. Anytime we're working on similar projects and we hatch out something that one or the other needs, they're getting it.
Right, right.
And I kind of have that relationship now with Leviathan as well. I mean, if I have something they want, they're going to get it. Like,
yeah,
we'll work something out.
That's
we'll
right. Yeah, of course. There's always that kind of relationship.
Oh, absolutely. So, but anyway, sorry, did I get off track there?
No, not at all.
You can tell I'm a little long-winded.
This is industry people hanging out. Like we can have like I say, I'll never be like, okay, question 14. We got to get to this now. No. I did want to say when you were talking about Garrick DeMeyer, like he was on the show one time, but I saw his videos early on, and my wife's from the Midwest, and I have an appreciation for that sort of get down to business. He was kind to me. I've hung out with him for an hour and a half on a show. That's about it. But there seems to be like a kindness and a care to what he does. And this I wouldn't say oblivious, this disconcern for like drama and attention and all of that. And I really love that. Like, I really look up to that. People have asked me like, who do you look up to in the industry? And I mean, there's a lot of people, but of anybody, I really appreciate Garrick DeMeyer. And so he's been good to me on this show. So when you said that, I was like, yes, I knew that we had something in common there. There it is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I mean, I've met so many good people along the way.
Yeah, right.
Know, I've met a few not so good people along the way, but you know what? Most of those people still treated me okay, so I'll treat them just fine back. As long as you're nice to me, I'm going to be nice back to you. I mean,
yeah,
I try.
I agree. Yeah. I don't have time for the beef or who likes who or whatever. Like,
yeah, and don't ever tell me I need to choose this side or that side, especially if I like both people, or don't tell me I can't watch this podcast and only watch that. No. No. I watch what I want to watch, and if there's something you don't like, well, that's your business. I try to avoid the drama. I will speak up on certain things. A while back, like this guy right here kind of got a little smeared in the public, and
that's a little different story.
There's no way I was going to stand by and not stand by my guy, Shane. So, but in general, at the same time, though, the guy that was talking smack, I don't have an issue with him. He was hanging around the bar there at Tinley Park. I've never personally had a problem with the guy, but I will stand up for people I care about. People who who I know are good people, and they don't need to be spoken to in a certain light. Or,
that's right.
Or if somebody tries to bring drama my way and want to talk smack about somebody, I'm just like, I don't even want to know.
For it. Yeah. And I'm just not going to make a platform for it. And a lot of it's by design. It's no surprise that in life, I'm not even talking about podcasts anymore, just in life.
Yeah.
Drama follows certain people, and it's because they go seek it out and they enjoy it. Well, that's fine. Live your life that way. I saw it in restaurants all the time, man. Like, there'd be one clique that was always stirring up trouble and loving it, and the other 80% of people that want to get down to business and do work, and that 20% took 80% of our attention, and the people that were doing good and being reliable and dependable didn't get any recognition. And that's life. I know how that goes, but yeah, I don't have time for that in my life. And honestly, I get like, it makes me frustrated and mad because there's so we don't know how much time we have on this earth. There's a finite amount of time we have. Why in the world waste? Like, there's so much good to go accomplish. Like, even if it's just breeding normals to see what something proves out, put your time to that. Like, we could be doing literally anything other than being drama filled.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of slides right into a similar topic, which is something we discussed really briefly in the pre-show there in the green room, which is, the reputation of your brand. Like every time you're in public, if you're at a show, you're vending a show, you're attending a show, you're on your show, I mean, you're representing your business. And a lot of people should sometimes take a step back and realize, you could be really setting yourself up for failure by having strong or very opinionated opinions on certain things. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but save the drama for your close friends and family and stuff like that, and keep it out of your business. So people still feel comfortable talking to you. I mean, like, I would never openly talk about politics or openly talk about even beefs that I know are happening in the ball python community. I would never openly talk about that because, it takes way too long to get your brand and your name out there and get, I just want to be a guy that when people see, the Balls and Strikes page on Instagram or my Morph Market page or see me pop up on a show like this, I want people to be like, yeah, that dude makes beautiful, healthy animals, and I would totally buy from that guy. I don't want them to be like, oh man, that's that guy that's kind of a jerk that he's likes this or he don't like that. I just try so hard not to get caught up in that. Now, that being said, I do enjoy watching people that can be controversial, and I really like people who, for the lack of better words, I mean, that kind of keep it real. I mean, they don't hold back their feelings, but at the same time, I don't really like people who will bash somebody else either.
Yeah, so a few thoughts. One, you're exactly right on the reputation. Like, I think that's one of the biggest things I could tell people, and it doesn't mean that you're not who you are. It doesn't mean that you're not true to yourself. It means that there's professionalism and there's on stage and off stage. And frankly, nobody comes to watch my show for my offstage antics or whatever nonsense I might get into my life. I say it's a show about reptiles, ball pythons, business, in our industry. That's a huge swath of interest. Like, if somebody, so I think that's important to remember, because people will be like, well, I'm not going to be fake. You don't have to be fake. You just got to stay on topic. And if the topic, I'm not even talking the show at a show or interacting with customers, the topic is ball pythons and not the rest of it.
Honestly, I think it's far more fake to sit there and attack somebody because somebody who knows somebody who don't like the person you're attacking.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
have
you ever actually
met,
have you ever met them in person? I mean, that's being fake to me. Like,
and
I've always said I never treat anyone poorly or on purpose or intentionally. But I will treat them accordingly, and how accordingly is how they're treating me.
I was going to say, people are going to get back what they give,
100%.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, God, man, what other industry is there out there that you can just meet so many amazing people, like-minded, I mean, they're with a passion for these reptiles. I mean, it brings so many people from all walks of life together.
It's really good. I was joking with one of my musician buddies. He's not a reptile guy, and I said I had a show or whatever, and he's in a punk band, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, the people at that show." I said, "Yeah, it's like the front row at a punk rock show," and he was like, "Okay, fine." Yeah. It's great. It's just like you say, it's this great equalizer, and I love it. I love the variety. Honestly, I don't know how you would get the variety of people in the same room in almost any other context, and that want to be there, and for the same reason. Like you could go to a restaurant and there'd be all kinds of different people in a restaurant, but they're not interacting and they're not all there because of their love for one thing and for each other. Whereas like a reptile show, man, I mean, just the people I love it. Just look at my Instagram pictures from shows. I love it, man. It's a blast.
Me too. Absolutely. So
it's a blast.
You touched on something real quick, and here's a little story about Tinley Park, actually, because you brought up music and in your band and whatnot. So my oldest son, or second to oldest son, I'm sorry. He's a musician. You would probably appreciate this guy. He plays drums in one band that's out on tour right now called The Lonely Ones. He's the
Cool.
guitarist and singer in Never Dawn. He's the bass player in Cozen, and he's got an album coming out with his new band called band. It's called Myrna Rose, Myrna Rose, and it's just him and a couple of buddies. And he plays basically every instrument on that album, and then his buddy sings. So, you know, I raised my kids right. They were raised up on heavy metal. So, you know, what was really cool was so I met and got to hang out with Kerry King.
Nice.
At Tinley Park, and took a picture with him. And, you
Oh,
know,
was
posed
he there?
a picture, and man, we hung out. And so I sent the picture to my son, and he was like, "I'm on my way."
Oh yeah, I bet.
You know,
That's really cool.
He's like a 10-hour drive away. I mean, he ain't getting there,
of
but,
course.
you know.
Yeah. No, I was on this kick for a while to get, like, for my intro, to get like celebrities, like snake celebrities, saying proper royals, or you're watching proper royals or whatever.
Yeah.
So I definitely messaged Kerry King. I didn't get a response from him, and like.
Well, you're not a carpet python guy, are you? So
No.
that's why you didn't. That's probably why you didn't get a message.
Yeah, well, and probably because it was cheesy and it was out of the blue, and you gotta put. It's like you say, you get back what you put in. You can't just pop up like a stranger and be like, "Oh, hey, will you do this?" You know, of course not. That's not gonna happen. But like, I messaged him, Slash, Alice Cooper, Jake the Snake Roberts, Britney Spears. I forget who else, man, but I just went through a list of I Googled celebrities and snakes.
Yeah.
0 for 20 or however many, man, nothing. But,
well, you know, unfortunately, that probably goes all through their publicists and stuff anyway. And they're
of
like,
course.
nope. It probably, none of those probably ever made it to the actual person.
I tried to find Kerry King on Morph Market. I felt like there was a little more direct path to him, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And I don't mean it in a mean way. He doesn't have any. He's got lots of things better to do than cut me promos, you know. So I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I hear
that's cool. He was at Tinley though.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna shout out somebody in the chat over here, and that's
please do.
Man. This guy's like one of my heroes. Like, have you seen his transformation pictures?
Who are we talking about?
Wait, we're talking about Bosa, Aaron.
Oh, Kike, yeah, man.
Holy moly, that guy! Like, I'm like 55 pounds down right now. I was like 65, and then I went on the cruise. But yeah, I mean, I was over 300 pounds or right at it. You know, back in January. So you know, I'm definitely on the weight loss train, and my goal is to get down about 100 pounds, and so I'm a little ways there now. So, but yeah, man, that guy's really made a transformation. I also saw my girl Bree.
Play that reel every day, man. Like it is. You're absolutely right. It's incredible, and we've all got something going on that nobody else knows about. But I've never clearly have a pretty slight frame. I've never faced that challenge. I've faced plenty of other challenges, but I definitely wish you well. And I can imagine the difficulty, because I like eating, I like drinking, and I'm not I'm not as active as I should be. I don't go I'm not a gym rat or anything, you know, and
right.
So I can't say I empathize, but I can say that I could understand. I can see that it would be a consistent challenge, and to pull off what Kike did is incredible. You're right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm 52 years old now, so you know, the older I've gotten, the harder and harder it is to get the weight off. I mean, you're so set in your ways and whatnot, but yeah, there's a couple other people in there, man, like Aaron up there, sitting there, Beast Morphs. I mean, I interact with him quite a bit on social media. Good dude. And Bree at Smoky Mountain Balls. I have to say something about her real quick.
All right.
So I was put in touch with her through Leviathan Snakes. Man, I really had an issue. Like, it was like all of a sudden, most of my ASF colonies just stopped producing, like almost all at the same time. It was,
oh wow,
yeah, it was a big oversight on my part. You know, getting things switched out. You know, but she really saved my bacon by hooking me up with some ASFs along the way, and same with Same with one of my buddies up in Charlotte, John, and he's at Black Rock Balls.
Okay.
He's another good up and comer too. But yeah, Bree really, she really helped me out a lot. I got all my colonies going. I added another 5032 ARS rack for my colonies. So we're getting caught up now. So,
well,
but anyway, sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
that's all right. Those relationships are gold for sure. Yeah. And I got to say, he's listed as David, but that's Wes. Wes, I was thinking about you this week, man. I hope you're doing well. I'll probably give you a call. I don't have anything specific. Just catch up. I realize we hadn't caught up in a while. So I hope everybody's doing well. We hit like 46 people a minute ago. It was pretty solid. You know, the podcast space gets more and more crowded, especially this slot on Tuesday night. So I'm thankful for everybody joining. Speaking of podcast space, shout out and credit where it's due. Most of my show prep that I was able to find anything on you on, other than sifting through your Instagram and Morph Market, was you did a 7 minutes, a 15 minutes of lame segment with Chris Eaton. How'd that come about? Was that through? Well, I'll let you tell the story. How'd that come about?
So I'm kind of a regular on Brian's morning show on Wednesday morning.
Oh yeah,
I was on Ballin' with Brian. Was on the Keeper's Corner on his other show. Have a really good relationship with Brian. Such a really good guy. I've been a fan of Snakes and the Fat Man for quite some time.
Sure.
And then, of course, he had heard my name several times through Stephen and Courtney. And then, you know, him and Brian's got pretty close. And then he inquired with Brian if Brian thought that I would be interested in being on 15 minutes, or if I'd tell him to, you know, take a hike, because you know, I'm not technically a new breeder, but but Brian said, hey, just ask the guy and see what happens. So he actually extended the offer on Brian's morning show.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Just kind of in passing to, I guess, test the waters. And I was like, hey, message me. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But I haven't quite started the campaign yet. I've got a lot of really good ideas, to start, to do a campaign pretty soon. I've actually been talking to Terrence and Keisha a little bit about doing some little collab, little things together.
Yeah.
That's my guy right there. I love Terrence and Keisha. Just awesome people.
They are awesome.
You know, I've just met so many great people along the way, but I really got to get with Steven and Courtney to kind of really help me out with the whole video editing and things like that. I'm just, I'm older, but I'm not old yet. I can still learn new stuff. I literally work here at my desk on my computer all day on my day job. So yeah, I mean, that's basically how it happened. And I chatted with him a little bit before the show, and then we got started, and it was good. It was a great time. It was very easy, just like this, just very easy to talk to Chris. I think he's incredibly misunderstood by so many people in the industry. I mean, the guy's got a heart of gold. He may not want to admit it, but he does.
Right.
He is really a great guy. He's such a good guy.
Chris is a good dude. He's all, I mean, he gives people a tough time, but he's definitely a good dude. And he's been good to me. He's, I've told the story several times, but he's a good guy to me. I got no problem with Chris. He's always been.
Yeah. What people need to understand, when the hat goes on, he's in character.
Yeah.
That's Snakes and the Fat Man. The hat comes off. He's just the everyday dude. I mean, the guy is not a chauvinist pig at all. The guy, I mean, he talks a good game. He's absolutely hilarious, but he genuinely takes interest in people's success. Male, female, doesn't matter. If he can promote you and promote your brand, then by all means, he's all about it. So shout out to my guy Brian too, who he kind of really, Brian Rivera at Samson Snakeatorium. Yeah. I mean, he really got the ball rolling on all that. And
cool.
Yeah.
So one thing that you talked about on the show that I latched onto And actually, Stephen and Courtney and I have talked about this a lot, but we disagree. They have an opinion and I have an opinion. But you talked about diversifying your inventory, that you make it, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the theme was generally that you have a variety of animals at a variety of price points. And you, I think, is that a specific goal or is that just a byproduct of what happens?
Okay, so all right, in general, so this is going to go all on collection building and how I've built my collection. I will never ever tell somebody I'm doing it the right way. You're not doing it the right way. You get, you know, like I love Billy at Mutation Creation. That's my guy up there, and he you know, he just strong preaches, you know, buy the absolute best animal you can possibly afford, you know, do the high-end stuff and have a high-end collection. You won't have to deal with a lot of the drama. And he's right. However, we enjoy doing a lot of the local shows. We enjoy meeting so many different people. And when you're doing local shows, I'm going to tell you right now, it is very rare to sell a snake over $1,000.
Oh yeah.
So we don't, it's rare. Like, I mean, I do have a few pairings like my normal girl, you know, but that, like I said, she's just paying the bills, but I don't typically go out of my way to make a $50 animal or a $100 animal. I'm going for $500, $600, $700,000 animals.
Sure.
With the potential of the misses are going to be stuff to take to the shows. I still work a lot with banana, pieds, calico. They sell. And the thing is when we do these local shows, so we'll travel to Charlotte or Fayetteville or Charleston or Atlanta, Augusta. I mean, all around the Southeast region. We are expanding soon as well. We will be vending St. Louis NARBC. We're going to be at Daytona, way in the back of the overflow room, by the way.
You're vending Daytona this year?
Yeah, we'll be at Daytona this year. But all those bananas or banana pieds or the hypopieds or, you know, like even the snakes, like lately, man, the super inchy banana calico that I posted. I mean, that thing's just blowing up my Instagram. People, you know, are sharing it and everything. It's wonderful.
Oh yeah,
that was a byproduct. Yeah, I mean, that was a miss in that clutch. That was not what I was going for. You know, I'm going for bonfire. You know, so that was a great miss. But again, that snake that'll sell all day long. You know, I wish I could hatch like 30 of those. I could probably move them all.
Yeah.
So,
and not to mention building building your Instagram, but to your point on the small shows, and look, you've been at this more than twice as long as I have. But something I just started doing shows this year. I just finished my 5th. I've done one a month, and I'll continue to do one a month through the rest of the year. I said I wanted to get a sample size of 10 shows under my belt before I made any decision on whether I liked shows or they were worthwhile or not. Yeah, I've already decided. Now I might change my opinion after 10 shows, but the value of reaching new entry and mid-level buyers, I've already got repeat customers, and I'm talking 3-4 hours from my home.
You're making my point for me.
Yeah,
go on, man. You're making my point.
Yeah, people that come back and see me. Kissimmee this last week was a good show. It wasn't my best ever, but it was good. And within 5 days of getting back to Jacksonville, a guy said, "Hey, I met you in Kissimmee, but I live in Jacksonville. That's 3 hours apart." Yeah. And he goes, I'm not going to say the price of it because he might be watching from. I know maybe he doesn't want people to know, but it was 4 digits of a snake that he bought 5 days after Kissimmee. Awesome. And so it's that snowball effect, or people going, you know, I saw you 3 shows ago, but I didn't say anything to you then, but I see you out here working. I just wanted to come by and say, hey. It's like, now we're talking. Yes, that's a brand.
But brand recognition, you're getting your logo in their face every time you set up at a show. And not just that, but when when a customer comes up to your table who's never met you before, they just see all the beautiful animals in your displays and they buy something from you, and you take good care of them, right?
Yeah.
You take good care of them, you treat them right, no matter who they are or what they look. I don't care if someone walks up and they got, 10 nose rings and 25 different color shades
Right.
of hair. They are going to get treated like everybody else. I don't
Yep.
care about any of that. If they have a
And they're
passion
going to
for
be
the
there
animal,
too.
as long as they got a passion and they want to keep that animal in a good way and all that, I'm all about that. But a lot of people do not want to deal with pet owners or the lower end snake buyers. It is absolute 100% fact. If I get an inquiry on Morph Market for a snake that's say 2,000 or more, it's usually, hey Troy, how's it going? I want to buy this animal. Would you take such and such for it? Sure will. Great. Where do I send the money? Send them the
Right.
link. Boom, the snake's gone.
Yep.
There isn't that. Hey, can I get some pictures of that? Well, can I get a video of that? Would you take such and such for it? Okay, sure. Okay, well, let me go ask my wife. There's none of
Right.
that with the
Yep.
higher end customers. They're hiring customers. They know what they want. They know what you got, and more than likely, they should know who you are. And that's another reason right there where I think you should build that brand recognition. You should diversify your collection because you're building a customer base. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you right now, I'm pretty loyal to the guys that I started buying from in the beginning. Now, don't get me
That's
wrong.
right.
I mean,
Yeah. Why risk it
bought
on a new breeder? Yeah. Why risk the unknown when you got a dependable person?
Yeah, but and it's one of those things where, like JSA, I bought some of my very first animals that I just absolutely love and still have from JSA. But they were one of the first people that, to also take the time to sit there and talk to me, talk through things, talk about the genetics, let me ask all the questions I wanted. After the show, I messaged them with a couple questions. They were more than happy to answer the questions. Love those guys.
Right.
So at the time, buying a $500 spot nose yellow belly het clown girl was expensive for me. Like,
Heck yeah,
that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so just think if JSA never had the animal that I wanted at that price point, and they only were selling $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 snakes, would not have a relationship with them right now.
Right.
Or at least might not. I don't know.
Yeah. Not in that way. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So,
I think I have to remind myself too, because seriously, life is really pretty good for me and I'm fortunate in a lot of ways.
yeah.
But I also am the guy that pawned my last Gibson to buy a second suit when I got a call back for a second interview and realized, well, I don't want to look like the guy that only has one suit. And I was sleeping on my father's floor and I was dead broke. And I'd been a professional in my career for over 10 years at that point. So it's easy to forget how hard we used to work for that $500 or for that $1,000 where we're like, man, that's a pretty good day. Pretty good day. That's $1,000, man. Like that's a lot of jack, man. I don't care who you are.
Right. And you know what? To me, it still is. It still is. Like people are talking about, the market's down and prices are down. You know what? That's still profit. I'm still profiting off those animals. Yeah. So the snake I'm selling right now that I produced is only worth $1,200 and last year is worth $2,500. That's still $1,200.
But and I always say we'll go where the conversation takes us.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about this. And a lot of it, because the economics of what you're talking about is exactly right. Now, it could be a matter of scale. You might not be able to produce enough to make the ends and the numbers meet that you met in the year before. But let me go back to my old standby, the restaurant analogy.
Yeah.
If I pay $5 wholesale for a ribeye, I can, but I really can't sell it for less than $5 because I'm going to lose money. And
sure.
But that's not really the case with ball python. Sure, we have a bottom line of because we had to feed the mom rats and we had to put our time in, and so sure, there's that calculation. But above about $100, the sky's the limit, and that's all margin. So when we say the market's down, it's not like that. There's less of a margin. I get it, and it's not the gravy train that it was, but it is still largely a very high gross margin. Now, net, we got racks and money, gas and feeder and all that. But gross margin on that sale on that snake is actually pretty high relative to a lot of other industries. And I was trying to explain that to somebody, and I think I had lost them. But
literally, the return, if you put in the work, the return on an investment in a snake is going to be so much better than the market. And what I'm talking about is the stock market. Like, what are you going to invest in on the stock market that's going to perform better than your animals?
Right. I mean, to be totally transparent, you don't have to worry about animals dying, and you don't have to put the extra time in. At least at the market, you park it and you forget it. So I mean, there's trade-offs.
True.
But yeah, exactly. A great year in the market is 9 to 10%. I mean, we'd all kill to get a 9 to 10% return in the stock market every year. Snakes, if you tell somebody I'm only going to be up 10% this year, they're like, "Oh, you're going out of business." What?
Yeah, no. Yeah. But again, so like I'm saying, when we're doing shows, sorry, I'm going to circle back for just a quick.
Yeah, please second.
Do. Because I don't think I totally touched on it. When I'm doing the shows, right? Typically, we'll have 4 tables. I'll have one table full of all my displays. Then I'll have a table full of chipper, because we're one of the regional distributors here in South Carolina for the chipper. And then we have a table full of merch usually. But yeah, man, those bananas and those pies, they pay our table costs. They pay for our gas and our hotel and our food while we're out.
Yeah.
And typically, if we sell a higher end snake, it's usually to another vendor, not to the people walking through the door. But yeah, man, I was that guy walking through the door so many times that how I just don't want to be the guy that's going to leave that guy out. I don't mind being the guy that I sell somebody their first snake to, and we do that every show. It seems like at least 1 or 2 people every show, we're selling them their first animal.
Right. I would say that's my experience too, every show. So, and I should say too, like, I think some of that care goes along with I'm not saying for you, I see it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm still starting out. I'm still the new guy. I need to build them as I'm building. So how about in 4 years, when I've been in 7 years and they've been at it 5 years, they're still buying from me? Fantastic. Like that's sort of loyalty and brand. So Beast Morphs always has a good, and I appreciate the support. He is, I say it's a he. I think it's a he. He always is in the audience, and I very much appreciate it. His take is that the high-end snakes are the brand recognition that people will remember, and they'll get there eventually. And
yes,
and what's cool is there's so many ways to do business. That's why I make the show about business.
That's true to a point. On the social media world, he is 100%. Like, how many people? No, I just posting that one snake recently. I mean, I gained like 150 followers off that one animal. Right? You know what I'm saying? So. But at the same time, brand recognition is also going to do those shows and getting your banner and your logo in people's faces. But we also go out of our way to make sure that our display stands out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you looked on our Instagram, we usually will post photos of our show setup. Like, we will go out of our way, every show people will come up and be like, "Wow, your setup is incredible."
Right.
One of probably the one guy that it really meant a lot to me, Limey Smidger came up. I don't know if you know who this guy is. He's an OG. This guy's been around forever. One of the most. Cool. If you talk to Justin or Bob or any of the big dogs and you bring up Limey Smidger, they are all going to smile and with respect for this guy.
Yeah.
And he came up to us at the Charlotte show and was like, "You guys have one of the best looking setups I've seen."
That's cool.
That was like, wow, thank you so much. I mean, we try to really go above and beyond. And here's another little show trick for people too. Because first of all, let me just say in advance, I do love the dark genes and the dark genetics. That being said, you really want to draw a lot of attention to your table, man, you better have some serious, bright, brilliant colors in there too. because a lot of people will come over and it's just, like, especially, like I said, bananas and orange dream stuff, super orange dream stuff. People are really, in awe of a lot of that stuff. So, but anyway,
let's take just a second. I got to pay some bills, and then I got a bone to pick with Wes here on his comment.
Okay.
Not a bone. I absolutely want to discuss that, David, Wes. I think actually, and I think I could translate it for you too. I want to say thanks to our sponsors. They truly do make this show possible. It means that I can have a little bit of breathing room in my everyday life to where I'm not worried about every penny as much as I always am. So huge thanks to REDLINE Shipping. Please give them a try if you haven't. If you have, I bet you're probably pretty loyal to them. The prices are great. Their experience is really, really good. And I'm saying that as somebody who's a customer before I was ever in business with them. Use the promo code PROPER5 to get yourself $5 off of your next shipping label from REDLINE Shipping. If you want to support Brian Barczyk and his family, go check out the REDLINE Shipping homepage as well. They've got a Brian's Army banner at top. Variety of ways you can support them with some merch and some cool swag. So go check out REDLINE Shipping. Also, Cold Blooded Cafe. If you feed frozen thawed, I recommend it. I'm not telling you how to do or what to do, but it works great for me. And Cold Blooded Cafe are the only rodents that I feed to my animals. And it sounds really strange. I wear the chef coat because I come from a kitchen background, and their production methods of their food for our rodents, the rodents for our animals, is at a very, very high level and high quality. The other distinguishing factor, I'm not going to name any competitors, but I promise you the other big players are buying scientific lab rats where Cold Blooded Cafe is breeding and raising their own rats. I want to give a shout out to my friends, Jeremy and Holly at Snakes for the Memories. They have, they've been on kind of I was going to say a similar trajectory. They might have left me in the dust, but we started vending shows at the same time. And I think actually my second show is their very first show. We vended right next to each other. Also part of the Chipper family. Oh no, I'm lying. That's a lie. I take it back. I shouldn't say that brand with their name. That's a lie. You could get cocoa from them if you like. Check it out. But Snakes for the Memories, they have new clutches coming up online very shortly. Any of the 2022s, I think, are still on sale. You got to talk to Jeremy and Holly for sure on that. But they've been great, and it was great to vend next to them. I think we've done 3 or 4 shows together since, and check out their swag. Also, BNS Reptilia, that's Chris. If you guys don't know Chris, go check him out. He's been a good friend of the show for a long time, but also our industry. I think he sponsors the Holdback Rack podcast. I think he does some business with Warfels Morphs as well, so a huge supporter to the podcast community. Chris deals in a variety of species along with ball pythons, carpet pythons, colubrids. Morelia would be the carpet pythons. I'm learning here. Boas, localities with boas. So check out Chris, heck of a good dude. And he is part of the Chipper family. He's the Chipper distributor up in Pennsylvania. And I too use the Chipper, and I appreciate that Cocoa brand. I'm not just for full transparency, I'm not into the cocoa conspiracies and the cocoa wars. I'm happy with the Chipper, and Chris is a distributor. So if you want to know more about the Chipper, go check out Chris at BNS Reptilia. There, I think I got everybody.
Right, so
at Cold Blooded Cafe, Proper 10 is going to get you 10% off, not $10, 10% off your order. That's a fair amount of jack right there. Speaking of money that you can save. So there we go. A huge, sincere thanks to the sponsors. They truly do make my life better. So thanks for bearing with me. Go support them, guys. Let me see if I can find the comment. Wes.
Yeah. Real quick, Polk County Constrictors. I'm not watching a game over there. I'm looking off to the side because I have the chat up over here, just kind of keeping an eye on things. And see, Bomb Projects is in the house. Man, that guy's got some serious fire too.
Oh yeah.
So, and Leviathan is stopped in as well. So on this right here. So vending shows to me makes so much sense.
You're just gonna take it over, huh? Hang on a second.
My bad. Did you want to comment on this guy first?
Well, no. A lot of people listen. So whenever I put up a comment that like we're going to talk about, I usually try and read it out loud. So Wes says, vending shows doesn't make any financial sense to me. Someone who keeps good records like Leviathan can prove me wrong. But as Adam always says, are you recouping the value of your time? There we go. So there's the comment. All right, you get first take. Troy, go ahead.
All right. So first take. Absolutely, especially at the bottom. You can never understand the value you are getting by putting your name and your face in front of people and your animals too. We unfortunately have to vend a lot of Repticons. I really shouldn't trash Repticon too bad because they have been good to us. But
they're good to me.
What I say is unfortunate about them is, at least in South Carolina and a couple of other shows in the area, they still continue to allow people into the shows with obviously mite infested and sick animals, which drives me up the wall so bad. So I just think there's just no place in our hobby for that anymore. I mean, anyway, but I've seen Steven commented in the comments that they've never lost money at a show. I lost money at one single show. It was a 1-day show. I only sold one snake. There was hardly nobody through the door, and I've never gone back to that show. I will never vend that show again. But on average, we always make far more at the shows than what it costs us to go do the show. We are reaching that point now where on a monthly basis, if we do 2 shows a month, we are basically doubling our household income. We do very, very well at a lot of shows now. But just going and doing the shows, I mean, if there's something local to you, if you got to drive for 4 or 5 hours and you got to stay overnight a couple of nights in a hotel, you don't have a whole lot of animals, to sell. I mean, if you're showing up and you got one display with 5 animals, then doing the show is probably not the way to go yet. But once you start hitting, like if you're producing 20 clutches or more a year, you probably should be doing some shows.
Oh yeah, 20 clutches, but
I mean, even 15 clutches, you could probably do a couple of shows, at least local shows. Get your name out there. And not just that, we've met a lot of local other breeders that we didn't even know were out there who were local to us, so that we now have relationships with. Because never underestimate the value of having good friends that you're in the know on what they're producing before anybody else knows. And you can get in there and swoop up an animal that they might have available before anybody else in the entire industry even knows it was even hatched sometimes. So there's that as well.
I would say directly to Wes's point, I agree. For a lot, if you watch my early shows, I often lamented I didn't understand how to make the numbers work. So like, instead of starting at the 20 clutches, let's start at the 0 clutches. You gotta, I mean, I have a 1 table setup, and that's probably about $1,500 of overhead, plus the price of the show, plus the price of travel. And I've been pretty strategic. I know a lot of people around Florida and have a pretty good network. So I haven't paid for a hotel for a show yet, except for Daytona, which I haven't vended. So I'm pretty cheap sometimes. So I figured that part out. But Wes, what I found was that I feel like I was starting to fall behind as far as a presence for my brand, especially in my regional area of Florida. And that's why I made myself say, I said, all right, this is going to be the year. I'm going to do a minimum of 10 shows. And then if it's been a bust, then I've got a big enough sample size to not be biased. And what I've started to find is now there was 2 shows back to back that I lost money on. I literally sold nothing at 2 shows back to back. And that gets pretty disheartening. But I'm fairly stubborn. And also I pay for my shows well in advance so that I can't back out. Like, I'm like, all right, well, I'm already in it. I'm going to go for it. But I've started to find that it builds this network, both of other breeders and, like you say, in the community, but of buyers. Can I absolutely quantify that every show has been really, really great for me? No, but I'm starting to be able to quantify that overall I'm benefiting far more than I'm losing, both financially, but also this intangible reputation where I'm starting to see people go, oh, hey, good to see you back. I just wanted to come over and say hey and see what you got. I mean, if they're in front of the table, they're going to buy something one day. Eventually, I got it. They can't buy anything until they get in front of the table. They can't buy the second snake until they buy the first snake. They can't breed until they buy the first male and the first female, all of that. And so it's been good. Plus, I'll admit it, it's fun. It's a go. My weekends are pretty open these days. So like, yeah. And I have financially recouped my time, and the overhead costs are tax benefit. They're tax deductible.
Right.
And
Yeah.
all of
Bomb
that.
projects. Yeah. He commented on that. And that is another thing for us as well. Like the tax write-off for all that, when you get to a certain point, is wonderful to be able to have those expenses to go against a lot of the profit you make during the year, especially if you're keeping your business on the up and up, which we absolutely try to do the best we can. My wife takes care of a lot of the accounting and stuff like that for the business and keeps track of every penny in and every penny out. So
yeah.
But on Nixon Reptiles there, man. So I'm gonna tell you what, one of the best feelings ever is when you're vending a show and somebody walks in wearing your shirt.
Oh yeah, that's cool too, right? Yeah, I haven't experienced that.
Feeling.
Mine are one of a kind, but two of a kind. I have two, but
Yeah.
no, that is cool. And I will say as well, we all have different strengths. I've acquired the skill. There's a real relationship between touring as a musician and doing these shows. And some are busts, and some nights you're like rock stars playing Wembley Stadium, and
right.
Selling snakes is that way, man. Like I can have a $0 show, and then for me, a $2,500 show is man, we're going for a steak dinner. If I get that, man, like that's blowing the roof off the joint. So I get those back to back and interchangeable. I mean,
but at the same time, you also touched on another point though, that even though you might not have sold anything at that show, there was probably people at that show that saw your logo, saw your animals, and might come back and buy something from you the next time they see you, or might look up your Instagram, or might look up your YouTube,
or took a picture with me, or tagged it, or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. Yeah. There's other ways to, interact, networking. There you go. But at the same time, there's nothing like seeing the animals in person. When you can go, like, I'm going to be straight. I've been to a couple of shows where I've seen people's animals online. I've seen them and all, and then you go to the show and they have filthy displays. Their animals do not look well kept. The guy's, sitting behind his table with his head down and his nose in his phone, not paying attention to people walking by, looking at his stuff. And then he's going to complain after the show that he didn't sell nothing. I'm not saying you did that by any means. I'm just saying in general, I've seen this at show. Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest with you, Stephen and Courtney, like, they are the best show people. If you want to learn how to vend a show the right way, find out what show Stephen and Courtney's vending and go just watch them. Because you will never see them both sitting down at the same time, or hardly ever. At least one of them will be in front of that table at all times. And that's the way my wife and I do it too. We are always out in front. We are always willing to take that animal out. We're willing to show them. We're willing to, but it takes a while. I'm glad you said you committed to, you're going to do 10 shows and then assess.
Right.
Because it takes at least that to really get your, I don't want to say sales pitch, but to get your groove down, to see what works with people and what doesn't work with people and what gets them to buy an animal. Because I'll let you all on a little secret. You know what the biggest thing you can do when someone is standing there at your table and they're looking down at an animal, even if they point at it, comment on it, 99% more chance of selling that animal if you pull it out and put it in their hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Put it in their hand. It gives them instantly ownership of that animal. It's in their hands. They see it. It's beautiful. They want it. It works well. So
it does work. I will attest to that.
Yeah. So you figure what? 2% chance with every person that walks by your table. 10% chance if they actually ask about something. I think it jumps to about 50-60% chance if you put that animal in their hand, they're going to buy it.
Yeah. I like your point as well. And and let me say also, he's listed as David, but I know him. He's Wes. Wes has been an outstanding friend of mine. So this isn't like beat up Wes Day. He's great. Like he and I.
No, I don't mean that in any way.
No,
either.
no, I know you don't. I want to make sure everybody in the audience. He's been an incredible friend of the show, and is indeed starting to breed on his own as well. Something that does help with the recouping time or bring the value is getting those reps in and learning what you're doing. Like we all hear on social media, just make a whole bunch of videos because you're going to get better every time you do it. You're going to figure out, it took me a year to figure out this lighting that I think is cool, but other people might not. But it took me forever to figure that out. I had to do an episode. I had to stare myself in the face. I had to go, this side of my face is, oh, let me fix that. There we go. Now I can do that, and you learn those little things, and you learn those at shows too. Do I speak to every person? Ooh, should I put the snake in their hands or not? Should I engage grandma with the kid, or should I just let them look? Cause I don't want a 30-minute conversation about something they're not going to buy. And there's no right answer. You're going to find that answer for yourself. You're going to find what works for yourself.
Yes. That's such a great point, man. Great point. Like the more shows you do, like, man, the more that you're going to be able to tell. Now, it's not 100%. Nowhere am I saying this, but you start to understand. You start recognizing that people are there thinking that it's just it's a reptile pet show. To go hold the snakes.
Right. Yeah.
It's a petting zoo. You start to recognize who those people are or not. So I know on one of your shows, you had a guest speak of not letting customers hold their animals anymore.
Right.
So I'm going to actually say exactly the opposite. I am all about biosecurity. I am about our animals, but one thing we do now at every show is we have an ambassador animal. We have a snake that we absolutely trust him 100%. He's friendly. There's no way he's going to hurt somebody. So when somebody or their kids come up and they want to hold a snake, he's the one that they get.
He's the sacrificial lamb. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. He no longer lives in our collection out in our snake building. He lives here in the house.
Yep.
We had him for sale for a while. We were going to sell him, but decided we were going to just keep him as an ambassador because he's such a great snake. Let your customers hold that animal. You know how many times we've sold a snake just because we let them hold a snake?
Right.
Many times.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I am all about the biosecurity. So now my hatchlings that are in the displays. Okay. So that being said, we have our ambassador. I will ask them if they ask to hold that animal. If they're interested, I do ask, how interested are you in buying the animal? Biosecurity reasons. We usually don't like taking the hatchlings out. Just for their case, we have an ambassador snake. If you want to hold an animal, we're more than let you know. So, if they're interested in buying that animal, they're definitely going to get to hold the animal. Hand sanitizer or not. We always have people do the hand sanitizer. But if that person's held 20 other animals at that show already and they got mites on their clothing or anything like that. So the answer to that question on the screen is 0. We've never brought mites home from the show into our collection because when we get home, every snake gets sprayed down with reptile spray before it goes back into the bins. Number 1. Number 2, all our displays, all our table covers, everything are sprayed down with prevenamite before we go to the shows. We strip down our clothing at the door. Our ambassador snake is no longer in our snake building. Knock on wood, we've not had an RI issue ever. But mites, we are extremely careful before every show begins. We try to get to all the shows and set up as early as we can, and we will walk around and inspect all the other tables, especially the ones closest to us. And if we see an issue with any of the vendors, we will closely watch people going over there to hold animals when we can. If we're not overwhelmed, busy, we do keep an eye on people at other tables. So if they've held an animal at the table we know has mite issues or something, and they come over, we will straight up tell them, You just held animals at that other table. We don't know that vendor, even if we do. We'll say we're not familiar with them. We don't know how they're secure with their animals, and we would rather not. So we will say no to people that we know just handled animals at a table, a questionable breeder. But in general, we do try to let people hold the animals, at least our ambassador animal. And you know, it's, you know, is it a risk? You know, yeah, I guess it could be, but, you know, anytime you stick a snake in a box and ship it off to FedEx, you're taking a big risk too. You know, that's traumatic on the animals as well. But if you're going to do shows, you're going to be at risk at some point. So it's all just a matter of how you prep.
Yeah, there's a sliding scale of comfortability and again what you're willing to take a risk on. I too have never, again, knock on wood, and I take various precautions myself. But no, I've never had a mite outbreak or RI when they get home. I actually at the end. So those of y'all that don't vend snakes, you might not know. Most of the shows, they just tell you to cover your animals and go at the end of the day. And I literally lose sleep. I lay there and I'm like, you're just sitting there. And so,
been there, done that in the beginning, but now let me throw those table covers on, we're out.
Yeah. Well, so, but it's twofold on mine, because also I get various temperatures, and a lot of like the shows at the various Florida fairgrounds will be in metal buildings that aren't insulated. So in the wintertime, it gets pretty cold. So I have actually hooked up heat strips inside my ARS cases with a thermostat on them. So I'll pack them up. And then if I said, well, if I'm going to pack them up, I'm going to lock them up. So then I lock them as well. So, the temperature concern is less for me because I have a one table setup. I mean, even doing that, I'm in and out in 10 minutes at the end of the first day kind of thing. But no, I've not had an issue with it. Pope County Python says, what's your percentage of animals sold at a show versus sold otherwise? Yeah, for me, it's still relatively low. My number one sales right now is actually Instagram. Instagram and Morph Market are pretty neck and neck, and then shows would be third in line for me. What are you seeing, Troy?
We're about 80% of animal sales at shows at this point.
Wow,
80%. And I would say a bit of our online sales have come from brand recognition from shows.
Right. Yeah. It's all there's these Venn diagrams that are imperfect, right? There's overlap. Somebody buys it on Morph Market because they saw you at a show.
Yeah. Great. We have that often. Yeah. Now, monetarily, if you're just speaking pure numbers on how many snakes we move, by far more at the shows. You want to talk about monetarily, it's probably more like 50-50.
Yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I got to jump back. Brandon says everybody else has the same key, Adam. No, I bought padlocks for my cases and wire cables. They don't have that key. That's what I was losing sleep over, Brandon. No. I lock mine. I would put them in the cases, heat them, lock the cases, and then cable it. I run the cable through the table legs. So even if they wanted to walk off with the cases, they'd be dragging the whole table with them.
So a quick pro tip. You can switch your keys out to specialized keys in your displays, by the way.
Yeah, pretty quickly, actually. Yeah, you can.
We also, speaking of heat and temperatures in different venues, because we've been to venues that have been hot as can be, and we've been to venues that were literally so cold you could see your breath in the air when you walked in there in the morning. But we run heat cables with thermostats under all our displays. So, when I do take a tower, if I'm going to sell larger animals and I take a tower, those come back. Those do not stay on the table overnight. Those come back off the table and they'll go into a holding tub or a box underneath.
Okay.
Sometimes a ventilated cooler that has heat source in it, so they can go and be in that in the heat underneath the table as well, especially if it's at a cold show.
Yeah.
If the venue's very, very warm, like in the middle of summer or something like that, we'll probably just leave the snakes in the tower. But most of the time, yeah, we will leave. We always have heat cables running under our displays at the shows. So, but,
now, which displays do you use, or what's your preference?
So I don't know if you can really tell too well by the photos of our show setup by looking. If you look through our Instagram, you can see our show setup. So all our acrylic displays they all have blue edging on them. And we get those made by a guy in Oregon. And the only place I know of that you can get a hold of this guy is on Facebook. And his Facebook moniker is Acrylic Displays.
Okay.
This guy always has a huge setup in the back, right in the middle of Tinley Park.
Oh, cool.
Towers and displays and stuff like that.
Now, what about, do you have like the step displays with the elevation?
Yeah, they're like 5, 4, 3s and all. Yeah.
What do you use for the elevation risers underneath?
So the displays come with carrying cases, right?
Yeah.
So the cases become, they step. So literally the top of your carrying case has little hooks on it. So one of your levels can hooks right in at the show. And then the top level, you set one of your displays right on top of that top level as well.
Gotcha. And how do you said you run heat? So do you run the heat inside the cases or in between the case and the display?
Yeah. So another pro tip, by the way. So even when you're like your very front displays, right? They're going to be literally setting right on the table.
Yes.
So what we do to keep those from sliding around and also to make a little barrier between the heat cable and the display is we use, like, if you go to like Lowe's or even Walmart, they have those rolls of dish dry. It's like a dish mat, right? And it's like vented. It's like rubber. It's like a rubber mesh.
The rubber mesh. Yeah. Like the bar mesh.
Yes. Like rubber mesh. So we buy that and we cut that to size. So we will put that on our table and then set, we'll run the cables, tape the cables all down. Then we'll run the dishwashing mat pieces. We'll put those on top of that and then put our displays on top of it, on top of those. So that gives a little bit of barrier in between the heat cable and the actual plastic of the displays, or the acrylic of the displays.
Yeah.
So it keeps the heat more, radiant, more even, instead of just being one hot strip. It makes the heat, but it also keeps your displays from slipping and sliding on the table. So like if a kid walks by and puts their hand up and touches your display, it doesn't go sliding off the table and crashing down. I've seen that happen at a show. Thank God it wasn't us. But
do you elevate? Do you put the heat rope? What I'm trying to ask is, do you put the heat rope on the elevated display, or is it all flat on the table?
No. So the bottom row, the very front, will be on the table.
Yes.
Right? Or on top of our table cover. Right.
Yeah.
The next level, it goes on top of that, the top piece of the carrying.
So it's on the riser.
Yeah, and then the top one goes on top of that as well. That's so the only thing in between the display and the heat cable is that dishwash mesh.
Yeah.
Rubber piece. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then we run a thermostat on those.
And you do or don't?
We do run thermostats on those. So we buy the heat cables, like they're 50-foot heat cables. I think they sell 100 ones, but the 50-foot heat cables we've discovered have a couple of little cold spots in them. So now we've marked all those where the cold spots are on it. So we've got it kind of down to a science as well. But yeah, we'll just take the thermostat right onto that the heat cable just to make sure. And I was getting ready to go somewhere else with that, and I can't remember now.
Where are you vending next? Where can people find you next?
Oh, so our next show, I believe, is Columbia Repticon in 2 weeks. Not our favorite show, but it is in our backyard here. And I mean, it's right down the street. So we do vend that. What we consider our home show is Charlotte Repticon, but the next one's not till July. We also always do the Augusta Show Me Snakes show. We always do very well there. We have a lot of really good friends that come and hang out down there at that show, that vend that show. You know, Tony Thomas came and Hardwired Exotics, they vended that show this last time. So we had a big chipper family there because Tony Hall from Hall's Balls was there. So, you know, there's a lot of really good, you know, H&M Exotics was there, the Nate Breeders. I mean, a lot of the local kind of in this area people that we really hang out with go to that particular show. And it's always a good show and a good time. You know, we've done well. You know, every seems like every time we go back to a show, we do better than we did the time before. I mean, you got to put in the work. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. You got to put in the work, and you know, you know, people, the more they see you, the more they recognize you, the more, you know, they might come up to you and talk to you, and you know, it really helps if you're a nice, outgoing person. You know, if you're an introvert and you don't like dealing with people at all, or you know, you're always just a negative, down person, you may not do well vending shows. You may not. You may be better off online and selling your stuff on Morph Market.
That's what I was getting at, where we all have our strengths and our place to flourish. Like if the show's not for you, it might not be, you know? So, well, Troy, we've been at it almost 2 hours, and as I always say about this time, I gotta give my wife a kiss goodnight tonight. Where can people find you online? I know for sure Instagram, Morph Market. Anywhere else you're hanging out these days?
Not really. Pretty much Morph Market and Instagram is it. We do have a Facebook page. I don't think I've logged into it in about a year. Unfortunately, you know, I haven't figured out how to unconnect. Like, so my personal Facebook page, Troy Woodruff, is connected to my Instagram. So everything I post on Instagram goes there. We haven't quite figured out how to get that disconnected and connected to the Balls and Strikes page and off my personal page yet. But once we do, we'll do that.
Another 3 years, right?
Oh God, hopefully it'll be sooner than that. I need to get my so one of my sons is big time computer guy. You know, he's going to Bowling Green State University right now. I need to get him on and get him to get all that fixed for me. He's my real go-to computer guy. But so yeah, pretty much there. I mean, I'm on Instagram way too much. I do have a YouTube channel, but there's really basic. I think there's like one clip that's like a year and a half, 2 years old on there, maybe older than that. But that I need to get going as well. But yeah, man, we do try to get around to shows. Like I said, we got a couple of the national shows coming up. We're on the waiting list. I see some. I don't even remember who it was. Might have been Beast. Morse was talking about real quick that yeah, he's on the waiting list. Man, we've been on the waiting list for Tinley and Arlington. We're on the waiting list for the what is it? Reptilian Nation shows. We've been on the waiting list for all those forever. We've been on the waiting list to get into the Herp shows, Conroe, and you know, the one down there by New Orleans. I forget the name of that one. But we've been on the waiting list for there, you know, trying to get into some of these bigger, quote unquote, bigger shows. So yeah, we're looking forward to doing Daytona and St. Louis bigger shows this year. But
cool. Well, I look. All your links are listed in the description down below, and I definitely look forward to hanging out with you in Daytona. Congratulations, vending that. That's going to be a cool step. I think, in my opinion, I'm not going to do it this year, but I think next year I might jump in those waters myself.
Well, if anybody wants to come find us there, like when you walk in, and like the main room's going to be on your left, right? We're going to be in the room. It's called room 2. I call it the overflow room. Wayne does not like that. It's a 2-room show. We'll be on the room on the right, kind of way in the back, you know, because it's our first time vending that show.
Yeah.
So we are not getting prime real estate. We'll be all the way in the back, but you know what? We're going to be bringing some serious heat to that show.
Oh, and it's packed. It's a great show. I mean, there's
we've attended it. I don't think we've missed one in four or 5 years. We've only missed one Tinley in the last 8 years. So.
Yeah, that
when they had them,
that second room was great last year. It was fun. Matter of fact, I bought 2 animals from 2 different vendors in that room last year.
But there was some good vendors in there last year.
There was, man. There was
some really good guys in there.
They put Josh's Frogs in that room. Like that's no slouch for sure. So Well, Troy, thank you so much. We didn't even scrape the surface of the topics. We got to do it again sometime. Maybe this fall or winter we hang out again.
I will say I'm gonna. I told you I'll gave you a little teaser in the green room real quick. I'm gonna tell the story super fast. I'm gonna let you get off here. So little piece of, I guess, trivia is the only other reptile breeder logo that you will find at Canova's facility is ours. So, and a quick story behind that, and you'll actually have to look for it if you're ever at the Canova facility. My wife, I don't know who may or may not be familiar with the painting Nighthawks. It's a very famous painting of like a diner on a street, and it has like Marilyn Monroe and all right, so my wife redid that scene, painted the Nighthawks painting, but instead of those people, it has Bob Vu behind the counter, Justin and Ozzy sitting off to the side, having something to eat.
Cool.
Miguel sitting at the bar. And then if you look off to the left, outside in a window across the street is our logo on a neon sign.
Oh, cool.
It's in that painting.
You should post the painting on Instagram sometime.
Well, I no longer own it. Justin does. But my wife painted that for a U.S. ARC auction, and Justin outbid Bob Vu for that painting. It went for quite a bit of money. And also, I know you probably saw me flash the hat. Definitely support U.S. ARC.
Need that.
So, man, Florida, U.S. ARC. I mean, man, geez, we got to support these guys. So, if you're a keeper, I mean, it doesn't cost much to help join in the fight, of keeping our rights. So, anyway, that was my little tidbit of information that you might that most people probably don't know. So,
all right, Troy, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And
thank you for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. And I look forward to hanging out in Daytona. We got to have some beverages and maybe some dinner or something.
100%.
All right.
Down for that. For sure.
I'll see you then. Thank you so much, Troy.
All right, take care.
Good night, everybody.